Oh yeah, sorry about that. We had to go down for head count formation, so. But yeah, FTX2. But FTX2, sorry I keep getting interrupted and I have to keep pausing it. Oh yeah, the 2 watches I'm messing with a friend right now. He dropped his, and so I picked it up and put it on. He hasn't noticed yet. But FTX2 was pretty fun. Ran around, shot blanks. Did a couple different training exercises. We stayed in foxholes. We had to dig. I had a very...
First floor to the CQ
I
desk
had
right
a...
now. Right now.
Sorry, I keep being interrupted by intercoms, but, yeah, I had a very interesting spider story, which is just absolutely ruined my entire FTX2 experience from that point on. Like, I was terrified of spiders. I was afraid I was going to get eaten. But, my mom probably read you that one. She's got the letter for that one about all that fun stuff. Then we ended up going, and we caught, oh yeah, we did training exercises that morning right before we left. So we're out there doing training exercises with our rucksacks on, which is, well, I mean, it wasn't that bad. We just crouching stuff. Our rucksack's only like 40, 50 pounds, so it's easy. It's pretty easy to just run around with. But one of our people got technically a casualty, and so the drill sergeant just said she was hurt. And I'm our litter team guy because I was the biggest guy on our squad, and so I'm the one that has to pack them around everywhere. So she gets hurt, so I just basically threw her up on top of my rucksack, and she just hung on top of my rucksack, and she only weighs like 110 pounds, something like that. So basically, I was just carrying a really heavy rucksack around everywhere, and I had to pack her around for probably, I'd say it was a solid half mile to 3/4 of a mile. It wasn't fun, but we were like running through the woods, and I still had to carry my weapon and do all the battle drills and all that fun stuff. Normal combat situation, drill sergeant told me I'd just drop her on the ground and go on fighting, and then I'd pick her up afterwards, but we're not in a combat situation, so he didn't want me dropping people on the ground, so I just packed her the whole time. She didn't ever got off. And then we ended up going back that later that day. I was tired. I hadn't been drinking enough water, so I was dehydrated. I had a headache. I was cranky. Got back to the barracks just instantly. Like, I went, took a shower, and just fell asleep. I was done for the day. 1 second. If you can't tell, I've kind of been not really going off my letter anymore. I've just been like reading different little parts and then just saying. But after our FTX2, we went out and did US Weapons 1 and 2 at the same time, which was pretty fun. We went out, we shot the 240 Bravo and the SAW, which is the 249. Those were really fun to shoot. I mean, those big guns. Unfortunately, I got assigned the 240 Bravo, so I had to carry that thing with me everywhere I went, which was just, it was horrible. It wasn't fun. I had to carry that thing on the 16K ruck march. I had to carry it everywhere we went. Like, we went to Chow, I had to carry it to Chow. We went for just like a little 2-mile run, or not run. I didn't have to carry it when I ran, but we went for like a nice little 2-mile march because we had to go somewhere. I had to carry it everywhere we went. And that thing weighs like a solid, it's 30-something pounds. It's not light compared to your little 6-7 pound M4. But once I finally got to turn that 240 Bravo in and carry the M4, it was light. Like, the M4 was just amazing. I missed it so much. But honestly, like, basic kind of like flew by. I mean, I don't know why. Like, it flew by. Like, the days were long. We were putting a lot of hours in every day. The days were real long, but the weeks were real short. Like, I would be like in the middle of doing something, I'm like, oh, holy crap, it's Thursday. It felt like Monday yesterday. Kind of like stuff like that. Like, it blew your mind how quick the stuff was actually going. And then, I mean, you just pretty much lived chow to chow. That's what you had to do. You're like, oh, well, you know, there's about 3 more hours till chow. And you get done with that, you're like, oh, there's about another 5-6 hours to chow. And you just went chow to chow. It was the easiest way to make it. I mean, and then you go mail to mail. I mean, getting mail was awesome. I got mail all the time. I got mail from everybody. I was getting me and one of my other friends got probably the most mail out of the whole entire platoon. Like I was getting at least a piece a day, if not 2 or 3, which was really nice. And then, oh, I forgot to talk about FTX and my FTX3 and my Nick at Night. I don't think I've told anybody about FTX3 because I never got a chance to write a letter about it. Basically, we got done with FTX3, and we were just busy doing CIF cleaning and turning and stuff, so it was just a lot of sitting around and doing stuff, but like I just never had time to write a letter. I was so busy the whole time. But the rough march to FTX3, the morning we wake up, it is pouring rain, like flood warnings everywhere. Our drill platform, which is where we form up in the morning every morning, is like 3 inches underwater. It was bad. It was just pouring rain, thunderstorm, huge thunderstorm. And like, so like we went out there and drill sergeant's like, no, we were starting to go out. Drill sergeant, no. He told us to form up inside. So okay, so we all formed up inside. It was really cramped because we all had our rucksacks, and it's already cramped when you're just trying to form up the platoons inside there. So we're all formed up in there. It's really cramped and stuff. And then he told us that we might get delayed, and not do it till tomorrow. We might not do the ruck till tomorrow because we'd woken up at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because you have to march that early, otherwise it gets too hot during your ruck march and people start to faint, pass out, and people just can't make that ruck when it's that hot. Like, I don't know. Honestly, a lot of people were like big sissies. People just dropped out everywhere. People, like, it didn't take much. A lot of people didn't have heart in my platoon and in the whole entire company. There's just a lot of people that didn't have heart. But then we were all up in the bay, and we managed to piss the drill sergeant off. I don't know how. Somebody just did something, pissed him off. We had to go outside and do push-ups in that 3 inches of water, soaking wet uniforms, and then he told us later, he's like, yep, we're rocking out to FTX3 now. Which is, he ended up getting shut down by the company commander, thank God, and we ended up just taking trans out, which is the transports. We took those out to FTX3 area, and then we rucked to the FOB, the forward operating base, which was only about like a quarter mile away. And we stopped there and we threw all of our stuff in these buildings. These buildings are flooded. Like half of them's underwater, or like half the inside of it's underwater, the other half's not. So all of us are crammed in these little corners of these buildings, and we're all just sitting there. And then, because the place we actually were going to go for FTX3, which it's the same place, but we had to probably ruck about another quarter mile to half mile to get to the place where like all the privates stayed. But that area, like the main crossing there, was like underwater, like Humvees and LTVs, which is LTVs are huge tan trucks, like those big, huge ones with the big tires that look really fun to drive. Don't get to drive one, unfortunately. But the roads were underwater. Like the Humvee couldn't get through, LTV couldn't get through, none of that. So we ended up having to just stay in those buildings for a couple hours and just sit there while we were waiting for it to calm down a little bit. It stopped raining and stuff, but like we thought we were going to end up just staying in those buildings all day. But it calmed down enough that we walked out there and we had to go walk through, like, in the river, like the river across the road went down enough. But when we went out there and walked through, it was like middle of my thigh. It was like middle of my thigh up. Like anywhere from like my hip to my waist to my lower thigh. That's how deep the water was. And we were already wearing soaking uniforms, so it didn't really bother me that much. But it was, the water, it was moving too. Like, it actually, we had a couple short, like, drill sergeants were like, oh, make sure all you short little people don't get carried off by the stream. And so I had 2 of our smaller people latched onto me. I had Perez, who's 4'10", and Wright, who's like 4'11". Both them latched on my rucksack, and I had to drag them across. And there's 2 separate, like, river places that we had to cross. And so I had to drag them through that stuff, but the water was, I almost lost my footing. I almost went down for a second. It was close. But then we ended up going up there and we had to dig foxholes in the muddy, nasty ground. And I'm still carrying my 240, so like, and when you're like you dig your foxholes in a buddy team where it's kind of like a V where your feet connect. You're supposed to cross your feet and stuff, but like one of you has to be pulling security at all times while the other one's digging. So I'm sitting there pulling security with the 240 while he's digging, then he would pull security with the 240 while I was digging because it's the crew serve weapon and it has to stay on security at all times. But yeah, so we dig these foxholes in this nasty, muddy ground, and we're like laying there basically like rolling around in this stuff. And we get done with our foxholes and it starts to dry up. And it actually, like, my place, I dug my foxhole, and I don't know, it turned out to be pretty good. Like, a lot of the ground dried up pretty quickly, which was nice. But, sorry, it's just almost lights out, so. But, so, I got done with all that, and we were, like, laying there, and then my Drill Sergeant Shaw, which is probably one of my favorite drill sergeants there, he was like, hey, all the crew serve guys, come down. So I had to pick up my 240, I ran down there, he's like, I want you guys to dig. He's like, I know you guys just got done with your foxholes, so now you guys get to dig machine gun nests, which is basically a hole deep enough that I stand in, that, like, from here up is the only thing that's visible, and we got, like, mounds of dirt that stick up, like, this high, so we're really not visible from the sides, we just have a front view. And so I had to dig, like, a 6-foot deep hole. All the other crew serve guys are, like, there's the crew serve guys, a lot of them are, like, shorter, but a lot of them didn't even, like, actually do it. They just dug a foxhole where they could sit in. I dug one where I could stand in or sit in. And so it took me forever. I just sat there and just kept digging, just kept digging, just kept digging. I pretty much dug all day. End of that day, I was so dehydrated. I was cranky. I had a terrible headache. And so my battle buddy actually ended up pulling security for me for a couple hours that night, because basically we had to shift off every hour. And because the crew serve always has to be manned. Most foxholes have 2 people awake in the foxhole at all times. Ours only has 1. Ours has the crew serve weapon, and the other guy sleeps, and then you switch. Well, he ended up pulling a 3-hour shift for me. Like, he didn't even tell me. He was just like, I woke him up for his shift. I went, because I took first shift, I woke him up for his shift, and then I went and lay down, went to sleep, and he woke me up 3 hours later. He's like, hey, I pulled a 3-hour shift for you, man. He's like, I knew your head was killing you. I know sleep really helps and shit. And I was like, oh, fuck, well, do you want me to pull a 3-hour shift or so? And he's like, no. He's like, wake me up in an hour. He's like, you needed to sleep and shit. And so I ended up doing it, but, like, it was really nice of him and stuff, because it really did help. I felt a lot better the next day. Next day we did a lot of battle drills. I got to pack that thing around. I got to shoot that thing a ton. Like, you hear all the little M4s going off when you're, like, using blanks. You hear, like, just a little pop, pretty much. It's not that loud. It's like a little pop with those blanks. But then you hear that 240 just start letting some lead go. Or it's not really lead, but I guess we're shooting blanks. But you hear that thing start going off, and it's just boom, 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 boom. And, like, everything else is just super quiet. Like, I scared the crap out of one of our... But yeah, sorry, another friend jumped in. But you just, like, you heard the gun going off and just boom, 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 and, like, I scared the crap out of one of my buddies, Rivera. He's actually here with me. He's a couple rooms down. I was hoping to get the room with him, but I didn't get to. He was like creeping up. He thought he was being all sneaky and stuff, and I was hiding in some brush and stuff, and we had our camo paint on, so we're really not that visible. I was laying down, and he, like, walked, like, probably, like, within 10-15 feet in front of me, and I just let go, like, probably a 15-20 round burst right, like, it's blank, so it doesn't shoot anything, but when it's directed at you, it's super loud, and he jumped so high. He dropped his M4, and then he, like, realized it was me, and he just laid down because he knew he was dead. And so, but he was, like, laughing about it. I couldn't stop laughing. It was the funniest thing in the world. But we did a ton of battle drills, and did broom clearing and stuff, and we did urban ops. I forgot to talk about that. We did urban ops a little while ago, or like it was probably about a week or 2 before this. Urban ops, we got to use sim rounds, which are basically, like, they're kind of like paintball rounds for a real, like, M4. Like, it shoots it, and it's like this little metal cartridge that has paint in it and stuff. It hurts like hell, like, really bad. 1 second, I need to get a drink. But yeah, it hurts really bad. And so we got to use those, and we were doing room clearing and stuff, and, like, building clearing, and I got to clear. I was, like, our point man, so I'm the one who probably gets, if I don't get shot, everybody else is getting lit up, or there's nobody in the room. So we go into the first room, and there was nobody there, and I was like, oh, whew, we're good. And then we go, and I was like, okay, you know what, like, there was, our door guy, the guy who has to kick open the doors, was really small. And so they ended up switching me. With him, which I was so happy about, because I was scared to be in that front position. I didn't want to get shot. Those things hurt so bad. So I ended up kicking down a couple doors and stuff, which was pretty cool. It was pretty badass. I felt like a badass doing it. But we did that a couple times. And then we were doing some more room clearing. We went up the stairs, and the second we went up the stairs, that number one guy got lit up. There was like 3 of them in different corners just staring at the stairwell. He stepped up to the top, got shot 3 or 4 times. He actually fell back down the stairs towards us, and we had to catch him. And so we ended up like popping a smoke in that room, and it just basically, we gassed him out a little bit, and then we snuck up there and took care of him. But then I ended up playing Op 4, which is where I'm on the opposition side, so I was in the building hiding. And they really don't ammo the Op 4 that well, so I only had like 4 or 5 shots in my weapon. And so I was like camping out watching the beginning doorway, and like they came in and I shot 2 of them, and I like hid back in a corner. Well, they came up, and I didn't even like realize that this was a way to get to me. They snuck up on me from like a different way, and they shot me 3 or 4 times. I was like, oh, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. I laid down. Those bastards walking towards me just unloaded probably another 5 or 6 shots. All of them hit me, like kneecap. I got hit in the kneecap, I got hit in the elbow, I got hit all over. It hurt so bad. It's like, I'm freaking dead, you bastards! And they finally stopped, and then they went upstairs and cleared the rest of the place. But then when they left, they actually gave us all their leftover ammo. So I had like 20, 30 some odd shots. I camped upstairs, and because it was me and Warren, we went and camped upstairs, and we switched White and somebody else, and they went downstairs. Well, we sat upstairs, and this next group that came in, they didn't know what they were doing. They came in the room, and they crowded on the stairwell, but they weren't looking up the stairwell. They were looking like the other way. So I poked around the top, and I shot probably like 4 or 5 of them right there from the top of the stairwell, and they all dropped. And when you get shot, you have to be dead. And so they all dropped, and they just laid there. And then I ducked back, and then they ended up clearing the rest of the bottom and killing White, and I don't remember who was with White, but they ended up taking care of them. And then they started to come up the stairs, and they were all hesitant to come up the stairs because there was only like 4 or 5 of them left. And they get up to the top, and they're like peeking around. They don't know where I am. And so I poke out of this little corner, and I shot 3 or 4 more of them. And I think I only shot 3, actually. And they went down, and then Warren, he popped out of a corner, and they shot him directly in the head, like right here. And it just started bleeding. And he was just dead right there. It was the funniest thing ever, because he just poked out and just got shot right there. And then they were like walking over there because they thought I was over there with him. And so, like, it was as they passed me, I shot both them. But we were, like, one of the only Op 4 groups that actually killed the entire force that was supposed to be clearing the building, which was pretty cool. But, yeah, back to FTX. So, since we didn't do our ruck march, we ended up having to do our ruck march to Nick at Night, which is our night infiltration course, where you have to low crawl for, like, 200 or 300 meters or so. So, we did, like, a 10K ruck march there, which is I ended up... Basically, our drill sergeants told us don't let anybody fall out. Like most of the ruck marches, everybody has to make it on their own. Well, this one they told us they were like don't let people fall out. So I ended up dragging Perez. She's one of the females. I ended up dragging her for probably about half that 10K, which is the 16K never turns out to be 16K. It's either 18 or 20K every time is what I've heard from everybody. But I drug her probably about half the way. And then we stopped. We did Nick at Night, which was really cool. They're shooting live rounds over your head. They're letting off artillery blasts all around you. And it's pretty much a race to whichever private can finish fastest. And I ended up finishing like 4th or 5th, which was pretty cool because I honestly didn't think I was that good at low crawl. And my elbows and knees were all raw from the end, though, because you're crawling through gravel, you're crawling through sand, you're crawling through everything. You got to crawl under the barbed wire. And you gotta crawl over over mounds, and all sorts of cool stuff. That was pretty fun. And then we ended up having to do like an 8 or so K back, and so we're rucking. And like the first part of the way, like I didn't help anybody for like the first, I don't know, probably 2K. And then I ran up on Rivera, which is my buddy. He was the PG at the time, and so he was helping some people. He was dragging Perez, and he's like, dude, I'm tired. I need your help. So I jugged Perez, and then I drug her for a little ways, and I ran into Williams, which is another one of the females, and she was falling out, and I ended up pushing her, like just putting my hand on her rucksack and pushed her because I don't know, I wasn't going to let people fall out. I pushed them for probably a solid another 2 or 3K, and then we ended up taking a break, and so they both went up to the front, but another female named Bertano stopped next to me, and so I ended up dragging her for the rest of the ruck march. From like after that break, I drug her probably, I don't know, 4 or 5K. I drug her the rest of the way. And then, like, as I was going, this little girl, like, Chaland or something, she just sorry, we got interrupted by another intercom, but she just randomly latched onto my rucksack. Like, I walked by her, and she just grabbed hold of my rucksack. I didn't even, I felt it. I was like, what the hell is that? I look back, and there's just this little Chichaland girl hanging onto my rucksack, and I'm just dragging her with me. I was like, whatever. So I drug them the rest of the way, and then I don't know. It hurt. It sucked by the end. Like, my feet were pretty beat up, pretty battered. I had some decent-sized blisters. But then we get back from that, and I mean, after you get back from that, you're pretty much almost, you've basically done everything you need to do to graduate. It's like that last day was just a lot of us messing around. We went to sleep, and the next morning we woke up, we pretty much filled in our foxholes, and then caught trans back to the building. We started CIF turning, and I mean, that was a lot of our basic experience. It was a ton of fun, but there was a lot of people. I don't know, I'd say there's probably 4 or 5 people in our platoon that didn't deserve to graduate. Like, they didn't really do anything. They managed to skirt by. But it is what it is. So, but I hope to be able to tell you a little bit more when I get home. Some more stories, some more of the fun stuff that happened. I was kind of limited on time. Like, it's lights out in like the next 5 minutes or so. But I hope to be able to talk to you soon. Miss you. I miss everybody that's there. Hope you feel better. But love you guys, and hope to see you guys when I get home in 8 or so weeks. Love you guys. Bye. Oh yeah, by the way, AIT is a lot harder than basic. We do a lot more PT. Like, right now, I am walking around like I have a stick up my ass. Like, I cannot walk. It is rough experience. It's pretty fun, but I mean, like, the training here has been pretty cool. We've been just learning all sorts about technical manuals. Tomorrow we actually or not tomorrow, next week we actually start to get to do some hands-on stuff, take apart some engines, work on that stuff, which is gonna be pretty cool. I'm excited for all that, but hopefully I'll be able to keep you guys updated, but like, get you guys updated, let my mom know. She can let all you guys know how everything's going. Love you guys, though.